Relationships, they can be tough, like really tough.
Yeah.
And I think one of the hardest things, honestly, is, well, forgiveness.
It really is. Forgiveness is.
And so that's what we're going to deep dive into today.
Yeah.
So forgiveness, especially in love,
Especially in love.
romantic relationships. And we have a source today that's really frames this in an interesting way.
Yeah.
Like it's beneficial for you
Yeah.
to forgive, not just the person who needs forgiving.
Right. It's not about them. It's about you. It's almost like this, I don't know if you'd call it selfish, but it's like self-care almost. Like it's an act of self-love to forgive.
Yeah.
Because so often we get caught up in, what the other person did.
Right.
And we hold on to all that resentment and anger and hurt, and it really ends up just hurting us.
Yeah, so it's almost like you're not even letting the other person off the hook. You're letting yourself off the hook.
Exactly.
That's such a good way. I like that.
Yeah.
It's a really good way to put it. And this source, there was this image that I thought was so powerful about, it talked about this heavy bag
Yeah.
that you're carrying around
All the time.
all the time.
Yeah.
And like resentment is that heavy bag.
Resentment, all the negative feelings, all the grudges you're holding. It's like this heavy weight that you're just lugging around with you everywhere you go. And it weighs you down. It keeps you from moving forward. So forgiveness in this sense is like finally setting that bag down.
Oh, that feels good.
It does. It does. And it allows you to move forward freely,
Right.
with more energy and lightness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. But what about, this is something I struggle with. Like, what about boundaries?
Yeah. That's a really good point.
Because it's like, if I forgive someone, does that mean I'm just like accepting bad behavior?
Right.
How do I protect myself while still being open to love and forgiveness and all that?
Absolutely. And I think it's important to remember that the source is very clear that forgiveness does not mean forgetting or condoning bad behavior.
Oh, okay, good.
It's not about being a doormat. It's about recognizing that you deserve to be treated with respect.
Yeah.
And you know what? Setting boundaries is actually a really vital part of that.
Okay, so how do I set boundaries in a loving relationship?
Right.
Because it seems like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It seems counterintuitive.
It can feel tricky, but think of boundaries as like guidelines for healthy interaction.
Okay.
So it's a way of communicating your needs and your expectations to your partner. It might be something like, hey, I love you, but I really need some space to process this right now. Or, I'm willing to work on this together, but I'm not okay with being spoken to disrespectfully,
Right.
It's about protecting your own well-being while still being open to connection and growth with the other person.
I like that. So I'm just going to imagine that I'm setting these boundaries and I'm like, nope, not going to happen.
No, that's right. That's right. You have the power to do that.
Okay, that's helpful. That's really helpful. I like that. Okay, but even with those boundaries, forgiveness sounds like a long and kind of difficult,
Oh, yeah.
process.
Yeah.
What if I'm sitting here listening to this and I'm like, I don't know if I can forgive?
And that's completely okay. The source even acknowledges that forgiveness, it takes time.
Oh, good. Okay.
It's not like a switch you flip on and off.
I was thinking that.
It's a journey.
Yeah.
It really is. And it's important to be patient with yourself.
So be patient. Take your time.
Take your time. And remember that heavy bag we were talking about.
Yeah.
Well, one way to start putting that bag down is to simply acknowledge how much it's weighing you down.
Yeah.
You don't have to force yourself to feel forgiveness immediately. Just allow yourself to feel the hurt, the anger, the whatever comes up, Just acknowledge it without judgment.
Acknowledge.
Okay.
So instead of trying to bury it down, just be like, hey, I'm feeling this.
Exactly. Let yourself feel it.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So, okay, I'm acknowledging. Where do I go from there?
Well, the source, I love this, it lays out 3 practical tips that I think are really helpful.
Okay.
So first, like we just discussed, acknowledge your feelings.
God.
Don't try to bury them or pretend they're not there.
Done. What's next?
All right, so the second tip, and this can be a big one, communicate openly with the person you need to forgive.
Ooh.
It might feel uncomfortable,
Yeah.
but expressing how their actions have impacted you, it can be a really powerful step toward understanding and healing.
Yeah, it's not about blaming them.
Right, it's not about blaming or attacking.
It's just being like, hey, this is how this made me feel.
Exactly, it's about expressing your truth, but doing it in a vulnerable and honest way.
Yeah, I think communication is key in any relationship.
Absolutely, always.
Okay, so what's the third tip?
Okay, so the third tip is to shift your focus to the future.
Okay.
Because we can't change the past, right?
Yep.
but we can learn from it.
Yeah.
And we can use it to create a better future for ourselves. So instead of dwelling on what happened and keeping yourself stuck in that heavy bag, ask yourself, what can I learn from this experience? And what kind of future do I want to build?
I love that. So I'm not stuck in the past. I'm thinking about the future.
Exactly.
Right.
It's about taking back your power,
Yeah.
choosing to focus on growth and healing.
It is about choice, isn't it? It's like forgiveness is a choice.
It is. It's a choice you make for yourself.
It's not about being weak or giving in. It's about
Yeah.
taking care of yourself.
Exactly. It's an act of self-care and self-love that allows you to release the pain of the past and embrace a future filled with possibility and joy.
Ooh, I like that. Possibility and joy.
Yes.
All right. Well, we are wrapping up this deep dive into forgiveness and love. But I want to leave you with a question to ponder.
Oh.
Okay? So, if forgiveness can be this transformative in romantic relationships, like we've been talking about, what other areas of your life could benefit from this approach? Right. Could you apply it to friendships,
Yes.
family relationships?
Absolutely.
I mean, even your relationship with yourself.
Especially that.
Ooh, wow. So think about it. What's one small step you can take today to start putting down that heavy bag and embrace the freedom of forgiveness?
I love that.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye-bye.